Well, I was at a wedding once with Tova, and Jack Quaid was there, and she tried to get Dumois. She said Jack Quaid is here with up and coming comedian Gianmarco Soresi to see if maybe they'd round it up together.
Yeah. She announced it to the room.
No, like she messaged
tagged
Dumois. You can message them like citing Jack Quaid and stand-up comedian Gianmarco Soresi.
Jack Quaid and young gay Italian.
I think Dumois is
middle-aged gay Italian.
The hottest elbow model on the planet right
He's
now.
out. That elbow video.
That elbow video
is really getting a lot of comments about the elbow. Which, by the way, I was more known before that for my R. Kelly pedophile joke, and I would happily be the elbow guy over the pedophile guy.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to make that transition from pedophile into elbow.
Is that, you mean like people who like elbows, like sexually?
No, they come up and they go, your elbows. Funny elbow.
Funny elbow.
Russell doesn't get it because he's never seen a clip of mine I've ever posted online.
No,
what's great about it is somewhere out there, there's a comedian saying, I would kill to be known as the R. Kelly pedophile joke.
Sure.
Guy.
Oh my God.
It's theirs for the taking. There needs to be a new pedophile joke.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
Welcome to The Downside. Oh my God, this is so. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You made a motion.
I felt like everything. The earth moved for a second.
I had my first earthquake in LA.
Oh yeah.
It was. I thought like a truck was driving into the house.
You were in the house. You were inside.
I was in the house.
Okay.
I thought it would. It didn't feel like the ground was shaking. It was just like I heard noise, like a tractor was coming. And then I went on Twitter, and that's how you know. And you're like, oh my God, everyone felt this. Wow.
My first earthquake, I went to school at UC Berkeley up in the Bay Area. And my first earthquake was a letdown because I was in a car at the time. And so I was in the car, and it felt like somebody jumped onto the bumper. And I was like, what the fuck is somebody fucking jumping on the bumper? And then nobody was there. And then I thought it was ghosts. But it's broad daylight. There's no ghosts.
That's where you went to first.
Yeah. First thing was, all right, there's
First
poltergeists who are jumping on cars, they're rascally ghosts.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, I'm like, I think that was an earthquake. But this was pre social media days, so I just had to live in that world for a while until I could confirm 30 minutes later.
For those young listeners who weren't around for social media, back in the times when there were earthquakes, we had to go outside and go, did you feel that?
Yeah.
Hey!
Did you guys feel that?
Hey! Was that a ghost?
Well,
Was that a ghost?
I missed the New York one. I missed both of the New York ones that have happened. I was on the subway once, and then I was on the elevator another time. And what was funny is I get out of the elevator. Nicole is in Texas. She texts me because her company Slack, because like New York just had an earthquake. She's like, did you just feel that earthquake? And I said, no. And then all of a sudden, a woman comes out on the street and she goes, was that an earthquake? And I said, my wife in Texas says yes. But I didn't feel it. I was in the elevator. So, but yeah, people did go on the street and ask.
I wonder if people is there such a thing as like geographic privilege where like people who experience earthquakes were like, yeah, when we have an earthquake, we lost a family member. And we're like, I got to feel my first earthquake.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're here for a very special episode, Russell. We just started our Downside tour. And we're together. We've had a couple episodes without Russell here.
Yeah.
And we have this Riverside thing, and it somehow gets worse every time with the Wi-Fi.
It really does.
But so I'm here with my buddy, Russell Daniels. And we're here.
I thought you were going to make it splash, and then he had to leave.
I know.
He's like, oh, fuck. And you're like, oh, too bad. We lost Russell.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
And we're here with actor, comedian, writer, activist, Dallas Goldtooth. We'll get to you in a second.
Yeah, keep going.
We're in Chicago.
Woohoo!
That's what you can tell from this fancy studio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Magic Lounge last night.
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
I've never been.
Oh,
is it lovely?
It's good.
Is it lovely?
Well, no offense to the Magic Castle. I went last week and it was incredible in LA. This one of the magicians did sleight of hand at the table, and it was
pretty crazy.
So it upped the magic level from the Magic Castle.
I did enough magic that I know a couple like things, and this guy, I was like, I have no clue where to even start.
It started with you're ordering drinks, they're coming to your table, and they're just as like a pre-show thing. They do magic at your table while you're getting your cocktails and your light bites, and it was like he would have stuff in his hand, and you'd be staring at it, and then it would go away, and you really couldn't figure out how he did it. Or he'd multiply, and we'd we're biting on the coins.
You've seen some magic in your day, yeah?
Yeah, I have.
They do a lot of.
In my
Here's the thing
time.
that's got to stop with magic is they go check the coin,
Check
the
the coin.
and I want to be like, I got it.
I know
trust I know
you.
there's not going to be a secret button that makes it vanish.
Yeah.
But they have to do it.
I'm a willing stooge here. All right,
Yeah.
just do the magic.
I just imagine because the regular non-entertainer probably every time they go
Well,
something with the coin.
Are
hey,
they,
something with
when
the
they're
coin.
saying check the coin and they're handing it to you, are they grabbing the fake coins?
That's what I.
yeah,
that's
it's
what
a
I
sleight of
think,
hand.
think.
This is-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't put that together right now.
but
That's why.
Hey,
they
can I
kept
get?
making us do it.
I gotta take off my shoes.
you do
Please
anything.
do. Yeah,
I got Crocs. I'm taking them off.
take them off.
So I might
Great, it's right at
almost
the
hit,
camera.
Almost hit the camera.
So there are two things that I thought were very funny.
Mm-hmm.
One, at some point for the magic trick, they needed someone to shout at a day that was like really special to them. And Russell's Broadway debut was October 7th, 2023.
Okay.
October
And
7th.
October 7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
2023.
Yeah, big day.
the day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the day. And I thought, oh my God, how funny would it have been if you
They're
said
like,
that
anyone
day?
a big meaningful day to you? And I'm like, October 7th! Like,
And I would have.
what was the
I
greatest
just-
day of your life? October 7th!
And then at some point, this magician, his trick, he had a menu, and the menu was flat, and we checked the menu, and then he pulled out a hamburger. He put it together, suddenly pulled out a hamburger, and gave
Like
it-
an actual hamburger?
actual hamburger.
He
and then
asked the guy
fries.
next to us what his favorite food was from the menu. The guy said hamburger, and then he pulled out hamburger from nowhere, kind of. And then this guy, he's just leaving that hamburger sitting there on the table.
He didn't eat it.
Yeah, he didn't eat it.
No.
And so
10 minutes go by.
and I can see Russell's. The show is done for Russ.
That's the moment he fixates on that, right?
I hadn't had a full dinner yet. We had fries, and you got olives.
Yeah,
And I was like, that's not a meal. So I was looking at the burger like, is
I
he really
saw
not
looking.
going
I
to eat
said,
this
ask you
magic,
for the burger
this magic hamburger that appeared out of nowhere? He's just letting it sit there to
for
wait.
a while. I mean, we're talking like
Yeah.
he's clearly not touching.
He's not going to
Okay.
eat
He
it.
hasn't moved it to the plate.
What
Nothing.
did the magician have his hands on it? Was it like
Yeah.
Yeah, was he palming it?
Yeah. It
Magician
came out
could've
of
stuck it
thin
up his
air.
asshole.
Yeah.
It would have made no difference. In this
So I'm
just
fat.
cushioned up
I'm
against the
fat,
taint.
so I can't ask for a loose cheeseburger.
is
I just can't do it. You know what I mean? Like it's not a good look. I'm in the front row. I can't, as a fat man, turn to that man and
Just
say,
whisper.
"Can I have your loose
If you're not going to
cheeseburger?"
eat that, can I have it?
So I have to make my skinny friend do it. I'm like,
somebody flung yourself. It's just like,
I had to ask my skinny friend to be
no,
like,
you didn't. No, Russell, you didn't.
I was
You-
looking
you-
at you though, like, please.
No, I don't think you did. I think I took it on my own volition. I said, you know what?
he
if
wants
I-
this. You want it too.
So I grabbed it. I said, this is not for me. This is my friend.
You ate it.
Declaration?
We split it.
We split it.
Okay.
And then I was the one. I said to the guy, because when I said to the guy, are you going to eat that hamburger? The way that he said it, he was like,
He was
you
disgusted.
want it? And then we got the hamburger. I said, can I get those fries too? I'll take those fries.
You might as well.
I mean, I have McDonald's like once a year, and I'm like, this is the perfect
And
time
does
to do
it count if it came from air?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
does it
yeah,
even
yeah.
count?
Yeah.
You know? But it definitely was McDonald's. It was a McDonald's.
But man, it was
So
so.
all right. Now, unpacking that, did the magician go to McDonald's earlier in the day?
Much earlier.
Much sure these were
Given the
cold
fries, the
fries.
oldest fries I've ever tasted, they definitely were sitting around for the 7:00 show
Sitting in his pocket.
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, definitely not. And next to probably a mouse or whatever animal he had.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
another
And
trick.
he's eyeing the crowd of like, who of these stooges are going to like,
I think he probably has a way that if he had called on me, I would have picked
There's
salad off the
three
menu.
options. Yeah,
And then-
he could have picked anything.
But I'm sure that he would have a way of like, nah, you suck. Like he would force
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know, they force it somehow.
yeah, I get it. So after the show, he's eating chicken nuggets that no one picked, right? He's like, oh,
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Those are my
Yeah.
gifts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He gets stuck with the chicken wrap.
Yeah.
No, but I'd like that. I'm the type of person that would ask. I'd be like, they're not going to eat it. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Why
It was
not
just going to
ask?
sit there.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it was incredible though. This guy made a butterfly appear out of his
That
mouth.
was the most incredible part. He made he he made a butterfly came out of his mouth, and it was like basically like he asked an audience member to pick their favorite animal, and as she was thinking of it, he was like cutting a piece of paper, and then when she revealed what it was, he opened it up, and it was a butterfly like he had cut like into like out of just how people make snowflakes, but he made a butterfly, and then he ate that piece of paper, and then opened his mouth and a butterfly, a live butterfly flew out of it.
And then he really like, there was this gentle moment of him like trying to like, he doesn't want to make clear that the moment this butterfly's done for this experiment, he's crushing it up and putting it in his little box of torture. Like just the kind of, he was just like, oh, careful. And then I saw him like bring it to the box and slam the box closed.
It's like the Prestige is just a box of dead bodies in there of butterflies. Yeah.
But I love, we've had 3 magicians on the show, and I'm going to be blunt. Okay. Magicians are harder to interview because they have a persona. They have a front. They also they don't want to talk about, truly, I don't think magicians want to tell me the time the trick went wrong, because they all the time have to keep that thing of like, it's magic.
Yes. Yeah. They have to keep the front up.
And because of that, I just I can't always seem to get them to like share their failings. And I see these posters, their whole brand is like, and I'm like, I've met them. They're the most narcissistic entertainer in the world, like comedians too. But they always have to do this like, and I'm like backstage, you're like, oh my God, the butterfly's dead.
Yeah, it's stressful.
And
do you think it's more stressful? I feel like that's much more stressful than comedy, like in terms of if it doesn't go well. Like the magic not working than a joke not working?
Yeah.
I mean, as a non-magician, I would find it more stressful. I'd be more stressed about trying to do a magic show than like Cirque du Soleil in some ways, because like it's all on you. If you're doing Cirque du Soleil and you're doing like with the hula hoops, it's like something fails. Everyone expects, something's going to go wrong.
Sure.
They're going to fall and break their neck. If that happens, they're like, hey, fuck, that's what happens. But if you're a magician and you fail, you're this shitty magician.
Yeah, well, with comedy, you can kind of like put stuff on the audience sometimes and be like, well, the audience, you can kind of trick yourself into. It's not as black and white as like if the trick doesn't happen, then oof, what a failure.
I agree. I think playing with playing cards is harder than my entire career.
I'm not saying harder.
This is the downside.
2, 3, downside. You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
That guy though too, he sliced a cucumber with like cards across the room. Did that cut a cucumber?
When people describe their dreams to you, I feel like that's similar to telling people like what happened in a magic show.
Yeah, I'm listening to the dream world right now. This is what I'm doing. Thank you guys.
Okay, so a cucumber? You know how you slice it normally? This guy with a card.
Across the room.
That's what he did.
Across the room.
Okay.
I think there should be, so they have close-up magic, stage magic. I think I'm going to sell people and be like, come see far away magic.
Far away magic.
You have to put on binoculars. It's really easy to hide stuff that way.
Yeah.
Dallas, we're so happy to have you. You work with my girlfriend, and that's the only way to get on this show anymore. Is you got to be one of Tova's clients. I really thrilled to have you. You were telling me before
it's so funny. Like there was an episode I was listening to, and you had said something about Tova, and I texted her, and she's like, "God damn it,
what did I say?"
I forgot. It was something about her other clients, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go and look at your client list now."
Oh, you never looked?
I never looked at that point, and I was like, "Oh, the other clients," and it's something like in my mind up to that point. I'm like, "Oh, I don't care. I'm not gonna look."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, there are others out there."
Yeah,
Did any of them bother you?
No. I wasn't.
Any of them make you go, "Oh"?
Oh, no. Actually, it was all. I was like, it was more like, "Oh,
both options."
All right.
Oh.
No, Tova. There's always comedy. Comedy, like my stand-up, I get to talk about a lot of things, but it's if it's anything career, that's the one I got to run by her. I got to say, hey, is this okay? I have one now. It's very soft. So she's starting to be. I'll say right now. Maybe she'll get mad. She's starting to deal with projects where she'll probably say until we're married, when she signs an NDA or whatever, she's not telling me, and she keeps it a secret. And I'm begging for the truth. And the thing is, I don't have anything in my life that needs to be kept a secret. So the joke is I'm trying to like, she'll ask me like, what did you have for dinner? I'll be like, I signed an NDA. I can't tell you, baby.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey. Careers are on the line. I'd get sued.
I can't do that. Like with my wife, if I sign an NDA, like
you keep a secret from her?
no, I could.
Of course.
I would tell my wife.
Sure, but I think you're protected. I feel like NDAs must be protected
By
under
marriage?
Is that a thing?
Any NDAs I've signed, I have not told my wife.
I've broken
wanna say
every NDA. I tell Tova, I think between you,
Yeah.
Tova, and maybe Chris, that's everything I got. There's no secrets.
I
The
mean,
three of you, if
people
I
gotta
died, you could
understand.
come together and paint a
Yeah.
pretty accurate picture of my life.
Yeah.
For the most part, I mean, hey, I understand if I have any friend and it's a secret, I have to tell them. If they have a significant other, if they're married, there's a 99% chance
Oh, yeah.
that the partner is going to know about it.
Well, that's
and
why-
so that will dictate whether I tell them or not. Because
Of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's why my girlfriend, she tells me, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I need some more friends. And she's like, you should be friends with, she wants to be friends with her friends' boyfriends. And I'm like, are you're nuts? Because I'm going to tell them some secret.
Yep.
They're going to tell their girlfriend or their
just
wife.
gonna come
She's
back.
going to tell you. And I know that because that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no way. We cannot have a cone of truth.
Yeah.
But you,
I'm telling Tova everything.
you're directly to her, texting.
Plugged
I'm
right in.
wired right now.
yeah, he's the aux cord plugged right directly in.
By the way, let me just say, if you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. You are going to get access, a lot of footage from these live shows, 2 bonus episodes every month. I'm going back to New York soon. Russell and I, we got more in person coming up. So join the Patreon.
I also heard you get foot photos, elbow photos.
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
day.
the
I do that. I
Patreon.
thought maybe I'd do a calendar with that.
Oh,
Just
just the
elbow.
elbows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Different seasons, the seasons of the elbows.
Yeah.
I like that.
There you
I
go.
like that.
Yeah.
Lakeside elbow.
When it's hot, the elbows like get a little more loose.
Yeah.
When it's cold, they shrink up. like
Yeah.
balls.
You should in your tour. You should take pictures of the elbow next to the food, like a Chicago pizza, or like a
that's
hot dog.
smart.
You know what I mean?
There's this episode of SpongeBob SquarePants that I think about a lot, that I feel like had a real impact on my comedy, where he rips his pants and everyone laughs. And so suddenly he goes, oh, he rips his pants again. Everyone starts laughing. And then he starts ripping his pants again and again and again. And it really is an episode about when something works, that desire to fucking just burn, it goes too far. And then it becomes hack. And it really felt like a artistic lesson hidden inside of a cartoon episode. It's
Yeah. Wow.
keep it in mind with the yelling. So Dallas, you said you told me before we started recording you're teaching your daughter to drive.
Yes.
How's it going?
I have 2 daughters. They're 17. One of them already drives. The
They're
other
both
one-
17?
Yeah, they're both
twins.
17. They're twins. One's my niece, who was born on the same day as my daughter.
Oh.
And so they're practically twins. She lives with us. And she's the one that's going for her license. And she's doing driver class right now.
Oh.
And I thought about you. I was driving with her. We were driving at night. And I said, do you know? And the only reason I know this is because Tova told me that you don't know how to drive. Or she doesn't know how to drive either, I think.
She doesn't know how to drive. I have a license. I shouldn't. It just rolled over from when I first got it when I was 16. Tova says she will not learn how to drive because she knows, and I completely agree, that it will destroy our relationship. Because if she can drive and I can't,
Oh, yeah.
it's inevitable that I will go, oh, fuck, the Uber's not coming. Can you please? And then suddenly
she's
I'm
your
dating a chauffeur.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I told her, I was like, did you know that there's people in this world that don't know how to drive? And she was like, what, like in Africa? I'm like, no, like in New York City.
Tova.
In Africa.
I was like, that would make sense if
Yeah.
there's some far-flung world. But no, I was like, in New York City and currently living in LA, there's
in
people
LA.
that don't know how to drive.
These Waymos, they're close.
I took my first Waymo for the first time a week ago.
Are they fun?
Oh man, I went down to Phoenix to the Phoenix Suns, and one of the tribes down there who has a partnership with them flew me down for like their native night. They had a cultural night, and I went to go pick up my buddy Bobby Wilson, and we decided to take a Waymo for the first time because they don't have them up here.
Yeah.
And it was a bit unsettling at first, but then you just kind of like forget that there's no
I
driver.
let it go. I'm able to tap in. I know there's going to be some really bad impacts on people who rely on driving, and I am not. I realize I feel like I need to tamp down my excitement about Waymo because I know it's going to destroy a lot of lives. But the other day I needed to like do vocal warm-ups like before a thing, and I was like, if I was in a Waymo right now, I could do them right here in the Waymo.
Oh
Yeah,
dude, I was thinking about like there's so much you could do in a Waymo, like. You don't have
Tell
any.
me what
You
else-
don't,
what-
think
what came
about
to
it.
mind?
What came to mind? Like, dude, you're in a Waymo. There's nobody there. You're fucking doing lines of cocaine in that shit. You could be fucking
Sure.
having sex.
I have to imagine that there's a camera.
There,
in
of
case-
course,
But
but
in San
cameras.
Francisco,
But
they
it's
had
the
to start
mental thing
telling
that there's
people.
nobody physically there.
Yeah.
San Francisco, they had to start. I believe at some point they said, "Please stop having sex in these Waymo."
Oh, people are just having affairs. Probably instead of a hotel, you could just get
my
a.
God, you get a, you
wow.
pay extra for a
Waymo.
tinted windows Waymo.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And it's efficient. You're on the way
Maybe
going
that's a
somewhere.
business we start.
And Ashley Madison, the Ashley Madison spinoff of the Waymo.
There's one
Not-
person.
yeah.
You just get in and you're alone. Like what?
No, it's like a date. Like it's for cheaters.
Yeah,
Specifically.
but they were like all robots, weren't they? Like all bots, like that were people were talking to. for the
What?
most
Oh,
part?
Ashley Madison. Oh, yeah. Sure,
yeah,
you get in. Hey, a Waymo with a fleshlight.
Yeah. Oh,
There you go.
Oh my God.
I mean, we're.
We're entrepreneurs here on
Yeah.
this podcast
Yeah.
right now. This is what it's about.
Here's the thing, though. I bet you we could take that. I bet you if we really want to be rich, we could just do that. 100%. We lean in towards
all right, let's do it.
fleshlight Waymos.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Let's do it.
We're done.
This is the end of the
That's gonna be,
downside.
that'd be funny if our sponsor was all of our sponsors were clearly companies that we're trying to get off the ground. You got to try this new fleshlight Waymo. It's incredible. Russ and I took one the other day together.
You know what's funny? I just heard the word fleshlight. You've been saying fleshlight for a bit
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
I just heard it.
I've been saying it for
And-
quite a
and
bit.
Been
now-
saying it.
And now I picture it, the Waymo with the fleshlight. Like,
Where is it? Where is it?
Out the back, the seat comes, it
It's in-
extends
Oh,
from
yeah.
the seat.
Yeah.
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 You had a flashlight at an early age. You told me once.
I
Wait, was it an actual fleshlight or was it a homemade one?
a homemade fleshlight. What does that look like?
A homemade one, you know, like
I don't know.
You don't know?
Well, tell me how to
No, I
make
don't
one.
know either.
I don't know. I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
You ever? All right. What have you fucked around with when you're like? You ever try to a sock? You messed around with a sock?
I never understood the
I always
sock
tried
thing.
it, but I couldn't get it.
I
Yeah.
never.
Didn't really do it.
And then
Worked
the
once
sock
for
was
me.
ruined.
Yeah.
Worked once for me. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, in my mind, I was like, it was not ruined.
But that's
Forget
not a
to wash it.
flashlight.
It's not a fleshlight. But like you take a flashlight and you put a sock in it.
Are you serious?
Oh, like
Yeah. My cousin did it once.
wow.
Before,
Before it
did
was
he
a thing.
invent the fleshlight?
He did not, and he always regretted it. He's like, I could be a millionaire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know.
Those
I
are
didn't,
the regrets
I thought
that we
fleshlight.
carry.
I just thought like, oh, they said, oh, this kind of looks like a flashlight.
Yeah.
No one was mixing up my fleshlight with a regular. I
Yeah.
think there was an early comedy bit I had of like imagining someone like there's a fire and they run into the woods and they're like, all right, let me get out the flashlight.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my
What's
god.
this
it's a
thing?
pussy.
Wait, did I ever tell you though that when I had one for a very brief moment, and I was like, I'm not using it as much as I need it to
Yeah.
like have it, you know, to warrant having it, and it's not that much of a difference in my pleasure experience.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want to get rid of this, but then I was like, I can't just throw this out in the trash. Like, what if someone finds it, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, what am I going to do? And then I was like, in the middle of the night, like trying to destroy it, like to like get rid of the evidence. I felt like a serial
How are you
killer.
destroying it?
Like I broke it, and then I was like cutting it, the thing into little pieces. Like I truly was like trying to like dismember a fleshlight to get rid of the evidence, like in case like.
And that stuff's really tough to break that apart. You're
It's
like,
very tough.
silicone.
You got to use a knife.
I'm imagining
And-
walking in on you, like
I-
catching you midway through. Like,
stretching it
Yeah.
1 foot over here over
Yes.
your head.
And I just feel like then I like threw it in the trash and I was like, well, everyone can tell that this is what that was. Like, there's nothing hiding that this fake silicone. It's all in little pieces. It's more disturbing now.
They think you're a serial killer. You have like they're like he killed 10 different women.
yeah,
and
it's
kept their
truly a
asshole,
sign.
their mouth-
I
just
don't
their
know what I
mouth.
was, but I was like, I got all paranoid about it, you know?
I had one and I traveled with it.
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
so goddamn nervous.
You check in the bag though, or do you bring it carry
I
on?
could carry on with that boy because I was traveling for a job and I didn't check it.
That's so
And then I
scary.
got to the airport and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? They're
Yeah.
gonna see it.
They're gonna see it.
They're gonna see
They're
it.
gonna see it on the camera. They know
It ran
exactly
through.
what
I was
it
going
is.
to SFO, and it ran through, and the worst thing happened is when they pull it to the side. It goes to the X-ray.
Yeah.
It waits there. It waits there, and then ding, pull to the side, and I'm like, fuck. And it goes through, and I literally had to whisper to the guy, "It's a fleshlight." Because it looked like I could see, and also you could see the screen. You can see the X-ray screen. It looks like a water bottle.
Yeah.
So he unzips it, pulls it out. There's a little screw cap on it.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
And I'm like, it's a flashlight, but he doesn't hear me.
He
doesn't hear me. And so he's unscrewing it, opens the top, and he looks at me.
He goes, so you're not allowed to have any liquid in here.
Yeah. He's like, this is more than 400 milliliters here. And he's like, oh. And he screws it tight and just shoves, like it's biohazard at this point.
Those guys
shoves it away from me.
They must see 25 fleshlights a day on a slow day, I think. And then I also
I'd
think,
have fun with it. I would have gone in.
Yeah.
I would have been like, I gotta go in.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Hey, actually, don't put it back in there. I just,
Yeah.
Can you imagine
stop.
if they collect it?
yeah.
If they had, they have the container for like water, and then they had a container for flashlights. It's just overflowing.
Yeah, just the whole
something
plethora.
really
He's like, hey,
funny.
don't worry. It happens all the time. He tosses over his shoulder, and it's like, dunk.
There's something so funny about getting flagged and then trying not to get in trouble, and then your response is whispering, "It's a fleshlight," which is so scary. If you didn't have the word "light" at the end, it's just like it's a fleshlight.
I mean,
I was expecting the woman next to be like, what's in it? What is it?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I was like, I'm like the worst case scenario. I'm worried other people are going to be like, what does he have?
Yeah.
What's a fleshlight? Some little kid asking their parents.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're bad if there's a terrorist attack, but it would be funny if they used that and then they had to start adding that to the list of things you cannot bring.
Fleshlights. Yeah.
Take your shoes off.
Take your shoes off.
Put your
All your
and check your
Flashlights in a
Yeah.
separate bin.
Yeah.
So Dallas, God, I don't even know where to start. I've been watching a bunch of your sketches from 1491, the 1491s.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm wearing the band shirt.
oh yeah,
Wow.
hell yeah.
I put it on and then I was like, oh fuck, I can't show up wearing the band shirt. Like, that's a dweeb move, but I wore it anyway.
Now I'm going to offer you $50 for something, and if you know the answer, it doesn't count. Why is it called 1491s?
Respectfully.
$100. You get it right. You get it right, Russell. I will give you.
I'll throw in $20.
Can I just say, I love that on this
No,
podcast.
I'm just offering you money. This is not. I'm not shaming you. I did not. I didn't. And then when I did, I said, "Oh, you."
Okay. It's a dumb thing it is a dumb thing.
I wouldn't call it a dumb thing at all. Actually,
Oh, okay.
that's kind of shocking.
I
that
was
that's how
actually
you viewed it.
just now expecting you to say respectfully. I just want to say I really respect Native Americans and American Indians, whatever you people call yourself. And I thought that's where you were
You
going.
listen to a lot of the podcasts. I can tell.
I thought you were going there.
That was a pretty accurate.
Just cover your bases.
My favorite thing is that you do your research, you do your things, and then you throw things at me to
God.
make me. And
What's a way that we could
part of what
possibly solve that problem?
we've
Yeah.
established what works about the podcast is I know nothing.
That's not how
That's
it's
what people like. I don't know anything. I'm Theo Vaughn.
You're Theo Vaughn.
Oh,
You're the Theo
all right,
Vaughn.
okay.
No,
Game
Found the comparison here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$100.
I said no. I don't know.
Think.
1491s. Native American
it's
group.
right before 1492. Oh, the year before. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. 1492.
An extra bit, as most of us come from Minnesota, so there's another little thing thrown into that.
That's where Columbus landed.
Yeah. Did you know that?
No, he didn't. He landed in
Where?
Oh my God! This is public
Plymouth Rock?
education at work right here.
Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth Rock is outside of
That's
Minneapolis,
in
Minnesota.
1600s.
That's the Pilgrims.
Guys, you're stressing me out.
I don't know it either. I'm just good at.
I know
good
it's
at-
not there.
Hey, what nationality
is
was
the-
Christopher Columbus?
Italian.
Wrong.
What?
No, it's wrong.
What was
It
he?
can't.
The devil.
He was the devil culture.
And I tell you that. And you say, don't
We
call
always say that
Italians
all the
that.
time.
They said, that's not nice to say about Italians.
We're in Columbus Circle knocking that thing down.
We're at that point where we could say anything, and he's on the hot seat. He's like, "Yeah, you're right.
I
You're
know.
right.
I know. Oh my God. No, it's true.
all true.
It is true.
Yeah,
That's his role in the podcast too, is to put him in the hot seat for this whole time.
Yeah.
Where did Columbus land?
Columbus landed down in the Caribbean.
There you go.
But 1491. So most of us come from Minnesota. It's a comedy group of five guys. We all started, but most of the three of us come from Minnesota, and we're all Prince fans. And he had sung "Party Like It's 1999," "Party Like It's before the world ends." Let's party like it's 1491.
Yeah.
That's the other homage.
Sure.
Where did Prince lived? Where?
You're gonna move to Prince from that?
I always forget that he is from Minnesota. He lived in Minnesota, but it wasn't Minneapolis proper, was it?
We lived from all around Minneapolis. Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to the Prince podcast, where we talk to our guests about their knowledge of Prince. I've just been watching. So you?
Oh my! You watched the old sketches? Look,
I watched the old one.
You ever watch your old shit and it's just like cringe? Like
no.
I've seen our stuff and it's. No, I'm proud of everything.
No, it's just
I've deleted the stuff. I don't.
No, I totally get it. But I think first of all, you look at it and you're like, this had 21 million views.
Yeah,
and Ellen featured it.
Yeah,
but like that was the beginning.
Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, it's a different type of cringe. You're like, man, it's just like seeing old photos of yourself. But it's not nothing. I'm still proud of all the old work. It's just also stuff that was created at a different time when comedy was a different, people reacted to different stuff.
I think the one that what's so interesting for me to like look at it, like I think there was one called Indian Store.
Yeah.
And the correct me if I'm wrong, but it was basically like you working at a store with someone else, and you're leaning into all the stereotypes to essentially sell to white people who go like, ooh, wow.
Yeah.
And like dream catchers, like I definitely, when I was like in second grade, I remember I had a dream catcher. I believed in the dream catcher. And that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was so interesting because it's just like seeing that sketch, because it's like, well, which parts of this is making fun of tradition, which parts are tradition, but you're still joking about it. And just like, I don't know what the line is.
Yeah.
As someone who's Native American, like between what is mockery, how much is there a sense of humor about what things are not funny, what things are. And that's what I think I view it as like, I don't know what offensive is or what the edge is. Did any sketch within your community, they go like, I don't like that. That was offensive.
That's a great question. I mean, the whole idea was like, you want to push the edge, right? As a comedian, of course, stuff, you want to go there. And a lot of it is, I mean, for me, I feel like the comedy that like we did as a sketch comedy group and our improv comedy really was like, processing what it fucking means just to be a native man, right? And all this shit. Like we are told so much about how we should be, what we are like, and even when we tell ourselves. And so like, what better way than just take that in and regurgitate out like fucking craziness and zaniness and absurdity out of that. There was a sketch we did where it was one of the early ones where I did a joke about veterans, and I was like, this guy's a vet. He's a Coast Guard reserve, and he's seen the war. And it was just absurd. It didn't make no sense.
Yeah.
And we did a live show in South Dakota, Vermilion, University of South Dakota. Shout out to University of South Dakota. And I prefaced it. I shouldn't have prefaced it. That's when you preface stuff, it jams you up. So I was like, hey, we did this thing, and there's a veteran. I said a vet joke.
Yeah.
So, of course, we showed the video in a sketch. And then after, this veteran in the crowd, this old guy, raises his hands.
Oh, boy.
And he gets up.
Oh,
and he's like,
nightmare.
He stood up. He's like, I just want to say something. What you guys are doing there, making fun of us vets. I don't like that. And he just berated us, like me and my buddies, for like 3 minutes.
In front of an audience.
In front of the audience.
Oh.
Stood up. He's wearing a beret. He's wearing like his color. You can't say shit to that. You just got to fucking put your head down. And he was like, it's not funny to make fun of us vets. We did all, he did the spiel.
Yeah. And
he sits down. He's like, I want you to think about that, and scolds us. And he sits down, and we're like, fuck. And then this two seats down, this elderly woman, she puts her hands up, And we're like, go ahead.
This sketch show sounds like a nightmare.
And-
After every sketch, like, anyone want to share their
Anyone
thoughts?
wanna-
Old people only, please.
Yes.
Oh, dude, no, it was beautiful. It was the perfect balance because she got up and is an old Indian woman who I know. I've come to know her since then, and she got up and she's like, "I just want to say I'm a veteran too, and this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
You young boys are doing great. I love it, and it's fucking hilarious because our men take ourselves way too serious." Example. And if you have anything else to say, if you want to talk to anybody about it, you can talk to me. And she sat down.
Wow.
The guy didn't look at her one bit. And we were like, fuck yeah, game on. Let's go. Let's keep on going.
Would have started a new war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone had to
It was a
re-enlist.
vet on vet battle. No, it was great. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment.
But that's such a I didn't grow up near any kind of military culture at all.
Yeah.
But I remember this one time where like there was a teacher I had whose husband like served and we did the Pledge of Allegiance in school.
Yeah.
And someone was like not paying attention once and she got so mad. And I remember we're like 5th grade. She's like, that red is for the blood of our soldiers. And I just think about so much how the respectability tradition things, that's what gets prioritized as Trump specifically and Doja's like getting rid of all these veteran jobs.
Yeah.
And you go like,
yeah.
especially like in today's world, it's just like the presentation and all those niceties seem to be the only thing that gets prioritized and gets talked about as fucking people just get fucked.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I don't care about those respectability things. You as a comedian, I think you always question those.
Yeah.
And it's just so frustrating to see people only care about that.
Yeah,
and only get mad about that.
Oh man! So my daughter, the one that's one of the 17-year-olds in school. Well, we don't stand for the national anthem. Whenever we're at any sporting events, me and my family, we just don't stand. It's not our thing.
Can I ask that in like? Would you say that not that you speak for the whole Native American community, but is not standing? Do you have friends who don't stand either?
Yeah.
Or are you more of an activist than others?
Well, as a spokesperson for the Native American people, I most of my friends, most of my family, we don't stand.
For the whole time, this has been the whole
time. I was
100%.
I was
By the way-
raised by rabble rousers who my parents never stood, and they're like, we don't stand. And I went to my elementary school. We didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance. We actually sang a Dakota song, one of our songs.
Sure.
So we didn't I didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance until middle school, until we went to a public school where it's predominantly white kids.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a culture of like, you know what, we don't do that.
Sure.
And my daughter didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance, and the teacher, one of her teachers was like, you have to stand and do this, and she was like, I don't want to, and he berated her. And so I sent a message to him, and I'm like, look, if you tell her to do that, we're going to have some serious legal issues because she's exerting her First Amendment rights not to stand.
Yeah.
And no response, silence after that. But I encourage my kids, like, you don't have to do it.
Well,
That's
first,
why I
good for your
never-
daughter. I mean, dear, that's insane.
Yeah.
And
It's just also like, it's just crazy to be like America. If America's your thing and you're like the biggest America fan in the world and our freedoms, that is what's always so crazy to me is like your whole thing is America and freedom.
Yeah.
And then when someone is like, I'm doing this because I can here in this country that is supposed to be that all about that. And then you're like, no, you can't do that.
of course,
Like,
but that's not what
I'm
they
like
care
that-
about America. It's just like
No,
it's-
but I'm like, it's like I don't like it doesn't make sense.
Sure, but it's like Christians who have money. It doesn't make sense. All that they're getting from it is this sense of like safety and nothing's going to change, and I won't have to deal with anything different. And like that's all it is.
Yeah.
But it being in schools is insane.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's some kids who are moved by it, but I'm just doing
It's
whatever they ask me to get through the day. It's not like because I did it, I became more patriotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had weird experiences where people are weird about you not standing for it?
A couple of times because we live outskirts of Chicago. We're one of the few Native families around here, so
Really?
it's like we go to a sporting event and everyone stands and we just sit down and do it, and we got a couple side looks, and especially when the whole kneel thing that happened back in 2017. When was that?
Yeah. 2017.
I was doing it
2017-ish?
earlier than that.
when
You were kneeling.
the kneel protests.
Every football game.
Yeah. Virtual signal here. So it's like you get side looks, but we just like F it. And also I'm a big dude, so like people are like, oh, I can't say shit to him. You know, I get that vibe too, right? I understand that my presence also changes the dynamic. If it's just my wife or the kids, then the people feel, of course, compelled to say some shit.
And so the teacher just didn't write back at all.
Then just went silent because I was like, dude, yeah, it's First Amendment rights.
Of course.
You're literally teaching that in your class. It's a civics class.
Why are we doing it in sports? Why are we doing it in schools? It's weird the places we're deciding to do it and not deciding to do it.
Yeah, it's all pageantry. It's all pageantry. And the thing, what I got to say, one thing I kind of like about the crazy shit that's happening with Trump and in DC is it's.
Don't get him started on what he likes about it.
Okay, all right.
Hey, you got all day.
But what Trump is doing is it's just showing us we make everything up.
Yeah.
Everything is built on story. Our society is built on story. So this it's all built on traditions and pageantry. That's just stories. We're just telling our kids this is the way it's always been and this is the way it should be. And what he's doing, he's like, it's crazy to see them it's absurd. Like they can just do away with certain aspects, but still stay to we're pro-American, but do away with all the protections that Americans have enjoyed since the formation of the Constitution. But the very idea of constitutional law, he's showing hey, that's just words. We just we can change that.
Sure. Yeah, I guess next time Democrats will be like, I always think that we're like, hey, we can change. You see that guy changed some things, so maybe you fucking do something this time. But they'll go, well, don't shake the Trump, whenever Trump at the last speech he did, which is not called the State of the Union, but it is. But the first one is called.
When he's talking to Congress.
Yeah, he did his Elizabeth Warren joke, and I think what's so crazy is that I'm like, that joke, it hasn't they still love it. They still love it. That's one of the things that is hard to beat in terms of it's inexhaustible. Mm-hmm. There's no okay, yeah, it's 8 years now, same joke, but it's still got to laugh.
Yeah,
I just thought it still got to laugh, and I just thought this thing of how do you beat something that when the group that enjoys it and enjoys the joke of it or enjoys that version of racist humor and doesn't like Elizabeth Warren, and Elizabeth Warren probably had the original sin of what was done. How does it ever go away? Does it just stay forever?
It's not. It's not a real laugh though. It's like a word. It just triggers a response of I know that, I hate that too. And that's the reaction. It's not
the only way it goes away is you have a whole generation of people who didn't see Pocahontas as a kid who can relate to the joke.
Or it's been so long people don't even know the news story about her lying and making up that she's Native. I'm sure there's a whole group of Trumpers who weren't even engaged with public policy or news.
They probably think that she is Native American, and that's why he's calling her.
Yeah,
they probably just they
have no idea, and they're they are. It's a false yay.
Yeah,
no matter what he says, we're gonna applaud it. It's like that when you listen to it. There's always that one guy in the background whenever he says a little dig. Who is that one guy that's I just want to know, is that a congressman or is it somebody up in the gallery?
It's me when I can get there, but no.
You swap out, right? He had that night.
Yeah. So you grew up. I had it down, but what was the name?
What name?
You were in South Minneapolis. Is that right?
I was in Minneapolis.
And was it the Sioux?
Are you trying to name the tribe?
I guess so. Because to be honest,
I love it when people get so nervous about saying the tribe name. Yeah.
It's more just I know. I knew when I went to Arizona. I went to Arizona for work.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember we went. I don't know where we went.
Did you do any casino tribes? Have you done any casino gigs?
I don't know.
Okay.
I've definitely done casinos that are leaning heavily into Native American imagery.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But have you done tribal casinos, but it's not a native crowd?
How would I know if it's a tribal casino?
Well, it's they usually have tribal name or whatever.
I did Comics Mohegan Sun, is that a tribe?
That's a tribe. Yeah.
Comics Mohegan Sun.
Mohegan Sun.
Mohegan Sun.
Mohegan Sun.
Yeah, the Mohegan
There you
tribe.
go.
Yeah.
So
Have you done any casino casino gigs in SoCal?
I think I did one, but I don't remember much.
So
about
if you have done any casino gigs in Arizona, California, Massachusetts, or Connecticut, those are all tribes.
Okay, so
those are the only
Connecticut
ones
for
that can
sure.
have casinos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so where you grew up?
You grew up. I'm going to ask
I
you.
grew up Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah.
So there really was like, I've been kind of working on a chunk for comedy about like just how they taught us about the founding of America and just being like being taught history with no Native Americans in the room to be like, I heard a slightly different version of this.
Yeah. The one nerdy kid. Actually,
Yeah.
it was called genocide.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up, Russell?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New
So
York.
very similar. You know, very. It's like conservative.
Where is upstate New York?
I mean, if you're in the city, everyone says upstate about the rest of the state. But I'm near Binghamton, which is kind of like close to the Pennsylvania border, but like 3 hours north of the city.
I think it's like the like suddenly when I hear myself stuttering, it's because it's like, oh, I'm so unaware what is true and what is like just a term from like it's all just so a tribe. You grew up in a tribe. Yeah. That's how you would describe it. Well, what was your tribe?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Was like what I respect it. I really appreciate it. And I know and I appreciate people like that are unsure, but they want to do it about it in a good way, right? And it's just because we're told a story about this history of this country. And we kind of know, like, well, of course, I know as a Native person how much is just fucking lies. Mm-hmm. But as you grow older, I assume that you start to uncover, like, oh, like what I was taught in school isn't exactly the reality of the way things are.
Sure.
And especially with Native American history. So I'm Dakota and Navajo. My dad's Dene, my mom's Dakota. My mom is also German. And that's my tribe. I'm Dakota. It gets more incremental. Like I'm specifically Bede-Wakantama Dakota, which is a specific band of the Dakota. And my village where my people are from is southern Minnesota. So that's where our people are from, and I've always been.
And Dakota, how big is that? How many people?
The tribe, so my specific tribe, like my band, is like about 5,000 people. But the larger nation, which we call ourselves the Ocheti Shakoin, which is the larger of all our people that speak our language, same culture, about 60,000, 70,000 of us. And our land base is from the Mississippi all the way to the Rocky Mountains.
Sure.
Up into Canada, Saskatchewan, down to Nebraska. That's our traditional land base.
I think when I hear about it, because Tova grew up Chabad, through her, it's just like you learn the depths and the complexities of like with Judaism, where there's all different sorts of sects and subsects, and like I get it wrong all the time. It's like Hasidic is a bigger umbrella, but Chabad is a smaller thing, and it just feels like the thing where there's so much to learn. It can be very overwhelming.
I feel actually the same way about Jewish folks.
Sure.
When I talk to Tova all the time, she's like my cultural ambassador, because like I don't know what to say, especially in these times. I don't want to cross the line. But I'm generally interested, because she said some things like some of our dances. She saw a video of like one of our dances. She's like, hey, that's kind of like what we do. And so I was like, oh, tell me more.
Sure.
I did an acting gig in White Plains, New York.
And White Plains.
I was in White Plains, and I was staying at this nice hotel. And every time I'd leave the hotel, there was like a young Jewish couple in the lobby, and they were obviously on a date, but it was a different couple every time. Oh. And so I was like, and it was like for a week, different people, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What is this? It's like, I have no idea. And I messaged it to Tova. She's like, oh, it's a thing. They date in the lobby. It's a date. They're actually going on dates.
Sure.
Wow.
Because that's a safe place. They can go publicly and date. Young folks can date. And I was like, oh, it makes sense now. Yeah. I was just like, what's the conspiracy here? But I didn't want to say that because it sounds really weird.
What's the conspiracy here?
There's a conspiracy in White Plains, New York,
Yeah.
with these young Jewish couples.
Yeah.
That's a nice conspiracy.
Yeah. What's going
They're
on?
running the
conspiracy
weather. They're
of-
taking over hotel lobbies everywhere. Day
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
day after day.
It's a conspiracy of love. That's what it is.
Yes. Is there any? Because there definitely is a lot of matchmaking in Judaism, and the rabbi is guiding this. I saw one of Tova's friends. I mean, it's like an acting resume, like what the woman presents to the rabbi. There's the picture. There's like their skills, their family, and you look at it, you're like, this is it feels like acting. It feels like an audition.
Yeah.
This is the casting director. I see the full mirror image. Is there in American culture? Is there any matchmaking?
Oh, I mean, it used to be. People talk about it. It's one of those things where everyone's like, oh, we used to do that. We should do it again. But no one does it. It's just like,
sure.
It's the modern day picture. Like, there used to be arranged marriages. You do arranged marriages, but I've never heard of anyone doing in modern days. We joke about it ourselves with our kids, like, oh, we should do an arranged marriage. That's a nice boy. We should set it up and go with it. But we never follow through with it. But do you ever plan to have kids? I know it's a hard term.
Thought. It's a thought.
If in that thought exercise, could you see yourself picking a partner for your kid? Like if you were like, hey.
Oh no, not at all. But I'm raised so separate from family respect or trust.
Yeah.
That like I would never in a million years.
Yeah.
That's my culture is that of no culture, or it's a real. I feel like my mom left kind of Judaism. She just wasn't into it. It didn't appeal to her. My dad was raised like loosely Catholic and had abusive nuns. And so they came to the table with nothing. I am cultureless. And it gives me a freedom.
Yeah.
I think you don't have like
Nothing.
and it gives a
strong-
freedom.
yeah.
I think comedically it gives a freedom in terms of like, I'll talk shit about anyone. I have no allegiance to the group. That's like, especially like I think with Israel stuff, I didn't know how big a deal Israel. I truly truly did not understand how big a deal and how it was like, no, whatever they do, we're supposed to endorse implicitly. And I feel lucky to a degree. I don't have community in other respects.
Yeah.
But as a comedian, is there any like? It feels like from what I observe and just those sketches that there's this mix of like you have to embrace the tradition, but as a comedian you question the tradition. But the fear is you question the tradition too much, it falls apart.
No, specifically for me, I feel so comfortable enough in my identity and who I am that I don't have that fear of like crossing the line. I think there's like, oh, I don't want to be in a situation where the elder stands up and berates me. Of course, you get nervous about that.
Yeah.
But I feel comfortable saying I'm Native. I'm Dakota. I grew up in my community. I have a relationship. As long as I could say I have a relationship with community, then I can have a critique of community, and it's just one perspective. Like that's where I come from. I don't have that like hesitancy. And thankfully the group, we don't have that, like fucking balls to the walls. Everything is on the table when it comes to comedy and having that critique, because that's really what comedy is, right? It's a way of critique, a social critique, and a way of release that for community to be like, oh, that is funny because we do that, or that is kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not worried about like, I'd actually like to try to go to the boundaries and push it. For a lot of our target, for me at least, is like Native men, how we perform, the performance of being a man, I think we're so not even as a Native man, as men, we're so fucking funny in our dysfunction that you can't help but like poke at that.
What was it like when you were a kid? Did you feel like, was there, I guess toxic masculinity almost feels like a trademark term at this point, but like, was there like a version when you grew up where you saw men and you were like, oh, they're not being vulnerable, or they're not being funny?
Oh man, all the time. I grew up a lot, like my stepfather was a Vietnam vet. Mm-hmm. I grew up around a lot of Vietnam veterans, and
could you explain? Was there a lot of Native Americans who served in?
Native American people have the highest per capita service rate than any other ethnic group in the U.S. So we have the highest rate of people that go into the armed services historically.
And any particular reason? Was there an incentive?
The incentive was just like poverty, getting out.
Sure.
I mean, that's the same reason for a lot of other impacted communities. Just another reason to get out, economic opportunity. And I think there was also there is a proud warrior culture that is still prevalent in our communities. And that traditional form of warriordom was stripped of us. So people went into armed services as a way to feed into that. And definitely I think the settler society kind of took advantage of that and really played into it. You're warriors, come serve in the U.S. Army. The other reason also was a path to citizenship. American Indians didn't have citizenship until the 1920s. And so a lot of our guys went into World War I. And
so before there was citizenship, was it just it was impossible to do business? Because you were in America.
Limited. Yeah. It was
essentially you were around America, but before citizenship.
Well, we were surrounded by America. And settled by America.
Yeah.
And colonized by America. And that's something we're really proud of this day. We even say hey, our ancestors, I tell my kids, your ancestors fought the Americans. We fought and went.
Was there anything about enlisting? Was there any within the oh my God, you're going to fight for the people who?
Oh yeah, there was always the conflict, especially during Vietnam, right? For a lot of people, Vietnam was this kind of absurd, people going off to war, then coming home and fighting their own federal government.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that had that angst and anger of what the fuck did I go over there for? What was the purpose of Vietnam? It was fucking a sham, right? There was no reason we had to be there.
Yeah.
Going to kill brown people and then coming back to fight our own government was the main story for a lot of these guys. And so a lot of that anger came out in community. So I grew up around all that, machismo. A lot of guys are just puffing their chest. And
were they if you were a vet, were your stepfather, did you feel you treated him with an extra level of awe or yeah? A lot of
it's there. It's the reverence and acknowledgement for veterans is still to this day where we honor veterans. They get the first when we feed, we have community feasts. The first ones one of the first people that can get food. My dad, just a key note on this is my stepdad's a medicine man, or was a medicine man. He passed away. He actually passed away from cancer that he developed because of Agent Orange. So he was sprayed by Agent Orange in Vietnam. Yeah. When he came back, he had seizures, he had a brain surgery, he had a lot of these fucked up issues because of what it was done to him in Vietnam. But because he was a medicine man, this is the balance here, right? The balance is that growing up, his role was he actually worked with a lot of other veterans to help them deal with their PTSD.
Yes.
And so a lot of times when I encounter men, it was in a space where he was helping them and they were very vulnerable. So there was this weird, you see the machismo, but also I saw a lot of men crying.
I see.
I was around a lot of men crying. Because
would he have the sessions in the kitchen?
Well, he would have sessions, we'd have communal ceremonies. And in communal ceremonies, they'll cry and they'll release in those spaces. And so I got to see the vulnerability side of it.
Sure.
And he would talk about that publicly with us. So it was really actually very, very influential for me because he was very cognizant of the duality that they were carrying of this all this anger and angst and this puffing the chest because you have to, because in many ways society is still trying to kill us.
Yeah.
At the same time, dealing with all this trauma and not knowing how to get it out. Yeah. And the only way to get it out is through your fist and anger and angst.
But now I saw this sketch that you had though about a medicine man where he just slapped everyone.
Yeah. The slapping medicine man.
Yeah, the slapping medicine man. So is that he let them cry? But I also noticed 3 sketches because I watched a bunch where someone cried and they were made fun of for crying.
Yeah.
And I feel that must be reflective of, is it that some spaces you can cry, some spaces you can't?
No, I think it's more of it's actually I never thought about it that way. The slapping medicine man, which if you watch it, you should check it out. It's I think it's our most popular video that we did.
It's basically you see the medicine man is shot behind his head, and everyone who talks every time they come with a problem, just
It's really the joke is take responsibility for yourself. You're blaming everyone else for your problems, right? You're an asshole. No one wants to hang out with you. Well, do you talk shit about people? Yeah. Gossip from time to time. Well, fucking.
Is to compare a medicine man to a therapist? Is that too? Is it?
I think it's not the same. I mean, and many people go to medicine men for therapy, but not all medicine men are therapists. There's some guys that should not be doing therapy at all. They should be in therapy. But it traditionally is a person that folks go to find emotional and physical relief from their trauma.
Yeah.
So it is a space, but often that healing is done communally. It's in a communal space. So like a lot of our healing practices and the way we find healing is with community, in community, and not necessarily in a separate, like, oh, it's just one-on-one space. So
Yeah.
so that's a interesting. I never thought about that like that. But the laughing because people are crying, yeah, I think we're just making fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having fun. With
It does feel like in general men have like rules about like where and when crying is appropriate.
Yeah, I think it's a commentary on
and
that.
you can like sometimes it's that's to an individual, but like I know we have one friend who always jokes that like every Christmas his dad watches It's Wonderful Life, and that's the one time a year he then goes.
He watches
shuts the
it.
door.
He gets up. Is our friend Douglas? He shared it, I think. On
Oh,
on
he
the podcast.
did. Okay, I just didn't
He watches it. He gets up, goes to his room, and they hear him cry,
wow.
and then he comes out,
and that's like
his
a once
time
a year. So it's like a rule he has, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's a very man thing to like impose that thing of like knowing. And like I couldn't like it I feel like there's times where I'm like, I know I have to cry. It's not even because of what's happening. It's just like a release. Like I have to like get that. But yeah, I feel like that's such a man thing of like once a year, this is what I'll do, and let I would be on the floor. I mean, like if
That
I
sounds
only
like
could do
a
it once a year.
TikTok. You know, like a video, like, oh, my dad
Sure.
watches this and goes in the other room, and I'm crying in the dark, like, oh, yeah. You ever get on those TikTok, like the sad TikTok, and you just get stuck in that cycle and you want to get out?
the
I don't
sad
go to the
TikTok.
sad.
Not the sad TikTok, the emotionally like charged TikToks where like people are nostalgic about their parents or families or like life.
I would swipe away so goddamn fast.
I am not.
That's not the only thing that I used to watch that made me cry when I was younger, and I think
Only
it's
thing?
homecoming videos where soldiers come back.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I want to make? And I want to make it'd be a sketch that would get me in trouble. It's a homecoming video, but it's of dads coming home from all different wars and all different sides, and it's kind of blended together. So you see, because I think the whole problem with the homecoming video is it's like, yeah, they're coming home from killing whose dad?
Yeah.
Who can't do a homecoming video. And so I want to do where it's like a
Wait,
montage where
is
it's
this
like
a funny video or just
Yeah.
a very upsetting video you're proposing?
I don't know.
There's comedy in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
But
You
it's
can
just
find
like
it. Yeah.
I just think it's like it's I can't even joke. God damn it!
No, I
you feel,
know.
you
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
that
yeah.
thing, and I go. If I was better, I slam it down.
Find it, yeah.
But a homecoming video where at first it opens and it's an IDF soldier coming back, and then the next one, someone from Hamas coming back, and someone's watching it going, and they have to confront. They have to confront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just have to confront it. It's so. But those videos are undeniably moving.
Yeah.
You have to accept that.
Yeah.
I'm a baby, man. I cry so easy now.
Me too.
Dude, I will cry. Any video of like someone under 18 singing in front of a crowd for someone that will charge me. Like any performances of people performing and like in front of a crowd, an audience that they're not used to.
Do you cry seeing your kids do things?
No.
Really?
No, not really.
They do. Any of them performers?
They want to be performers. I have a daughter who wants to be a voice actor. The other one's going to acting. They're trying to find the path.
And you don't think you'd see them in a play?
Yeah, I will. Like when they get to that stage, yes, I'll cry. Yeah, but
when they do a good enough job, when they
when they make me happy as a man.
When I believe that's not my daughter up there, then we'll cry.
You ever see that sweet little video of that little fat boy who made his dad a shirt? That made me cry.
No.
I think I saw that.
Like, just like a sweet little boy. He's like knit his dad a shirt, and his dad's like very proud of him, and it's just like it. Oh God.
No, I'm
kind of
not.
fun.
My mom-
Are you like promoting your own video? Is this your own video?
No. I can't knit.
It's one you make your dad.
Have you ever seen that? And I just like start saying things of my old videos.
Yeah.
You ever seen that? Yeah.
You've done a lot of
Well, let me ask you a question.
okay.
Yeah.
What name 5 tribes, 5 Indian tribes. This is not. I'm not like trying to get you. I just want to know like what tribes do you know of Indian tribes names?
And but some of them, like I feel like from when we grew up, like what we learned.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like probably some of them are wrong.
Let's
like,
try
we're
it.
not-
Let's try. I don't. There's no
Iroquois.
here. Yeah, safe
I'm not going to
space.
edit this to make it look like
Like
Iroquois.
Iroquois.
we're gonna do a voice. We're gonna do actually after this. We're gonna do like a little what is it called?
ADR, yeah.
ADR with all bad
Yeah.
Yeah.
offensive
Okay.
names. for you.
Iroquois?
Iroquois, Sioux,
Mohegan Sun.
Well, take the son of it. That's the name of the
Mohegan.
casino.
Mohegan.
Yeah.
Navajo.
Silence.
Why I have no. Leave all this in.
Oh God, Apache. Is that a tribe?
Sounds like something. Okay.
Good.
That was
Good
fine.
job.
Yeah,
5 tribes.
Apache.
Yeah, you got.
I don't know if we should
Apache.
be proud of ourselves.
Yeah, you got all the tribes, all 5 of them.
How many? How many are there?
So many
There's
more.
like 580 tribes, but they're like
Oh
a
my
lot of them
God.
are the same
What?
culture.
Okay, am I gonna look 580? That's a lot.
Yeah.
No, there's like 500 tribes, but a lot of them are like the same, but
Name
different
every
bands.
shade of white.
Yes, actually, literally, like they're all different shades. But yeah, they're all true. But it's actually
Okay,
interesting
I
because
want
the
to
ones you
go through
named
the 5 and go darkest to
Yeah.
lightest.
No. Stop.
now. We'll hold for us, Russell.
yeah,
Go ahead,
yeah.
tell us. And what's wrong
What-
with them? You know,
What's the I feel like there's just a thing where it's like I sometimes think in life. Like we did an episode where someone told us what age women were allowed to buy credit cards without the approval of
Yes.
some man, whether it be their husband, their brother, or their father, and we didn't know the year.
Yeah.
And a lot of comments were like, "You should know this."
Oh, I
And-
hate that.
And there's this degree where I go like,
You're like, we made the
it
clip.
would be first we made the clip and now we do know it. And how do you just witness the knowing process? Now we know it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's like when you deal with the areas you're like, okay, so where in the world does education needs to be fixed? Where is it that you learn these things? Where, as opposed to when you're
Exactly.
in your 30s and 50s, that's when it gets.
Imagine if we put out a clip that was him being like, name the tribes, and then we named 580 tribes.
a mega
full-
montage.
Can we?
It's like you turn into a song, like
Yeah.
like the states. Do you guys remember
Yeah.
learning the states via song?
We learned, there was another one too. Oh God, I feel like it was in Spanish class. It
Oh,
was like the countries.
I don't remember the song. It's like Alabama, Alaska,
Yes,
then
yes,
something,
yes,
something,
yes,
something,
yes.
something, something. I don't know. All the,
How
I
many
can't do
tribes
it.
could you name if you really had like?
Oh, if I named, I could probably name a good
if you could only do 4.
If I could do
All right, that one. Yeah.
Apache.
Yeah.
That's a
I was like,
that's a tribe, right?
more?
Yeah, more. And we're all the lost tribes of Israel, by the way. That's true. Oh my God! One time, I met I've met so many different claims that claimed us as Native people. It's hilarious. Like I've met Jewish folks who've claimed us as tribes. I've met Mormons have claimed us. I've met Muslim folks have claimed us.
claimed as like you are actually you're Jews too.
You're Jews. You're Muslims.
Oh.
You're Mormons.
Sure.
We've been claimed by everybody. So it's
Well, certainly there were a lot of liberals that would like talk about Native American rights in America, and then when Israel and Palestine came up, suddenly it was like the thought of like
the comparison.
The thought of
comparison
colonization.
of colonization was like unfathomable, and it's like it was just. Really think it was just one of those fracture moments. I think of. I grew up in as a liberal, a good liberal, excited by Obama, and then Hillary Clinton, and then I feel like that was a huge fracture point where it was like, there's
It's always after the fact. It's always after the fact. Like, oh, South Africa. Like, oh yeah, now like of course that was bad.
Liberals care
like,
about-
after
it's
that.
like
After
the
the fact.
tweeting.
Of course. After we
liberals
solved
are
that.
against every war except the one happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the quote.
Yeah.
I didn't come up with that.
And what's it going to be like 20 years from now? Like, of course.
Of course. Oh yeah, 20 years from now,
of
everyone's
course.
gonna be against this.
Trump.
Oh,
Trump Gaza Tower
Trump
shouldn't
did
be
it.
there.
Shouldn't.
Of
Oh,
course.
I hate that he did that.
That's-
How did that happen?
I'm performing there, but I just need the money.
Yeah.
But they have, they have Palestinian management there, managers or whatever. So they're good. They're good. No, I think it's a good challenge, though, that it's a good challenge for everybody to at least know or research where you grew up, what were the tribes that are there or used to be there, just to be like, hey, at least I can acknowledge that there was other folks that used to be here or are still here, right? Whether it's upstate New York, whether it's Maryland. There's a farm in down, I don't even know the regions of Maryland, but there's an Instagram page called Cedar Tree Farm. They're native folks from Maryland area who set up a farm, and they grow hemp, they grow like organic farming there. It's a native owned company group doing great work in Maryland, and great people. So like that's also, I think what's so frustrating. I'll tell you this. All right. So one thing that has gone, that all these criticisms about Trump that have gone, like, there's so much, like, that's the strategy. Just overwhelm us, right?
Yeah.
Every day, just pump out something every day, because the idea is like, we'll get overwhelmed and we're dogs. We'll fixate on that one bone and forget all the other bones that have been thrown.
Yeah.
For me, the big giveaway that really just shows the thinking here was in his inauguration address when he use the words like, we're going to use manifest destiny.
Yeah.
And most people, I'm sure you might have heard about manifest destiny in high school, in that 1 week of social studies, but it's this belief that we as Americans, this big we, which I feel so conflicted about being a part of that, but I have to acknowledge the complications of it, but the contradictions of it all, but that Americans are destined to expand. That's American exceptionalism finds itself in this idea that God has ordained us to expand ever westward. And it's all in that speech. He talks about expanding the American empire, Panama, Canada, the Gaza. It's all included in this idea of like expanding ever outward. And in order to do that, you have to settle shit. You have to colonize shit. And it's kind of like, it goes over people's heads, I feel like. But those of us, like as native, I can't ignore it. I'm like, it's obvious what they're wanting to do.
Sure. What do you feel like? Because you've done activist work, and it certainly feels like such a bleak moment. I mean, Trump feels bleak, and in a way, it can be an illusion where like it was plenty bleak before too. It just he's very he doesn't hide it behind anything. Yeah, he's very just saying it out loud. He says the quiet part out loud, but the quiet part existed before Trump.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Is there anything in like either movements that you've been a part of, or like with like the Dakota Pipeline, like you were part of protesting that?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you look back and you go, oh, this thing, the way we went about it was a waste of time, or it wasn't effective, or like could have been done better? Like as opposed to like the problems that be. Is there anything in terms of strategy for activism that you look at and go, this has to shift, or this is where we went wrong, this is where we lost people?
I think that, yes, it's a great question. I feel like echo chambers is so easy to fall into. Sure. When you fall into a community and you're just regurgitating the same talking points amongst each other, you're not really expanding, you're not organizing, you're not building power, because you're like amongst the same group of people. And because of social media, it's so easy to fall into that, right?
Yeah.
You go on Instagram and you're saying, oh, everybody's on my side, and you realize you're in an echo chamber. There's a whole other side out there that aren't seeing the memes and the graphics and aren't seeing the things that you're seeing. And so you really do have to challenge yourself to break out. And I think that there is a whole, it's been there. I think I like to see it, this growing, this emerging class analysis, this class consciousness.
Of course.
That is really one way to really break that. So I used to be an organizer. I worked for this organization called the Indigenous Environmental Network. And the first campaign I fought on was against the Keystone XL pipeline, which is a massive tar sands pipeline. It was under the Obama administration. And we fought against that sucker for fucking 10, 12 years. And we ultimately won. It's a campaign that we can celebrate. People don't know about. We fought a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We went against the president on this. And it was a hard earned win. And one way we went about it is that we actually had to organize with deep Republican landowners in Nebraska and South Dakota on this issue. And
what did they connect with you on? What did you agree
We
on?
connected on water, the essence and the essential need for clean water. And, we went on and saying, hey, look, they're building this pipeline. If it bursts, all that water you need for your livestock, the water you need for your agriculture, all that stuff, it's gone. Like it's and that worried them. The other one was eminent domain, because they were using eminent domain, and nothing gets Republican conservatives like ready to fight. It's like, oh, you're going to take my land.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which, coming from a native, we're like, they're going to take your land. They're like, oh, fuck, they're going to take our land just like they took yours? Fuck that.
Yeah.
And it gets them riled up. And that was the angle of like, and one of the strategies was like, they're going to do to you what they did to us. It's like very nuanced. That's really kind of a,
was there any pushback inside of the movement of like were there any notable Republicans that you had to like team up with that liberals would go like?
No, that's the other thing, is it was all grassroots. It was all local organizing. We didn't fixate on getting congressional leaders. Like, I mean, there was that whole strategy, but it was really the Democrats that led us through it, kind of helped pave the way. But it was all grassroots, getting local Nebraskans and like white landowners. And the beautiful part about this is that they started out, I straight up met Western Nebraska rancher, like the reddest of red, guys who were like, talked about guns and didn't like the gays and didn't all this stuff. And working with them for like 3 years on a common issue, like, let's just focus on the water. And then we snuck in like indigenous rights into it, because our talking points never changed. It's not just the issue of protecting the water. It's also upholding indigenous rights. We have a right to protect, to self-determine what happens to our water, our air, our bodies. And you have to respect indigenous rights. You have to respect treaty rights. We've have history of treaties with the United States government that have to be upheld. And over time, these white guys, these conservatives who are like, I don't want eminent domain taking my land, and you should respect their rights. These tribes have been through so much. Understand that. And it was like, oh shit. And they started adopting our talking points, and it kind of went for, they kept going with it. We're like, and you know what? A lot of their people a lot of women, indigenous women, are going missing and being murdered at increasing rates. You guys should look into that. And it was like, we built a house.
Yeah.
We built a house, and we're trying to get people to come in, and we're like, on the house, we're like, water rights. It's an issue that all of us can agree on, is everyone should have clean water. And you get them into the house, and then when they get in the house, you notice that the walls are upheld with like indigenous sovereignty and like, treaty rights and all these other issues. And you kind of like, you hide the medicine.
Yeah. Sure. It's just so hard. Then you open one room and it's like, gay people shouldn't get married. And you're like, let's keep this door closed for now. Build the rest of the house. Then we'll renovate that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the struggle of it.
We'll work to the basement. We'll work onto the foundation stuff. But I mean, it's flawed. It wasn't perfect, but we won that campaign because we actually had to do deep organizing with folks who we may not agree with, but there was commonality, and there was a class consciousness approach to it as well. Like, hey, we're just common people, like the rest of us. Like everyone, we're all just common people trying to get by.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. That's the problem, is that the Democratic Party, like, they can't. The leadership is too rich and relies on the rich too much to lean into the only winning shift of strategy, which is class consciousness.
Yeah, did you see
do that?
Yeah, did you feel? It's interesting, like your journey, like with Obama getting elected and then doing this. Like, I feel like it's a weird blind spot for a lot of people in the.
A lot of people. Obama was just still, like, everything was
still
great.
Say his name,
that was good.
And
this was bad.
And
that
it's
was
like,
good.
he under Obama, blah, blah blah, and you're like, it is this thing of like people have a blind spot for that, and some of these things, our drones are like the NSA, the pipeline.
Well, I feel like there's a whole section of us, of this movement, who like are under no illusions that America does some fucked up shit, no matter who's in the White House.
Yeah,
sure.
And has done fucked up shit. And that the Obama, there was a lot of fucked up shit that happened. And I think that what Trump is doing is just exposing what America truly is, whether Democrats try to paint it or not, is just, it's a imperialist bully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, all he's doing is pulling the levers that have always been there.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's just saying, like, all this strong arming other countries.
Yeah.
Democrats could have done that. They could do it. They've done it in many ways. It's always been there. The threat is always there.
Sure.
is that he's just using the tool. But even if you had a Democrat in the office, they're still going to pull that lever in some other more subtle way. So that's the challenge is like, hey, we are looking at a systems change that needs to happen. And so, yeah, that's always been my take on it. I'm like, doesn't matter who's in the office. I know that we have there's still a long ways to go.
Yeah.
Do you feel cynical right now?
Oh yeah, dude, I got burnt out so bad. That's why I gave up the organizing. I just couldn't take it. I got so burnt out.
Yeah.
I had to go into writing. Like I had to go into writing. I had to go into performance. That was my outlet. I was doing sketch comedy, improv while doing all the organizing work, and that was my outlet. That's how I fucking stayed sane. But 2020 hit, and I just got overwhelmed. And I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That's my downside.
Good. Well,
I had to tie it in there for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's go into our next segment. This has got to stop.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. Russell, do you have a this has got to stop?
Yeah, this has got to stop. When you're watching porn and like the ad comes up and it says, tired of looking at porn. And you're like, no. That's literally what I'm doing right now. And anything that you're offering is that is like meet up with like older women or whatever the ad is, you're like, that is so much more work for me to stop doing what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm not going to have the attention span to click on that and then be like, okay, let me wait around for an hour and a half to meet up with this older woman that might be in my area, so, but it's always phrased like tired of looking at porn. Like, no, I'm literally here. Just let me be here for 5 to 10 minutes. And I'm not tired of it.
Or you get the ones where like you want somebody to masturbate with.
You're like, no, I'm doing it alone right now. Like,
do you think that there is one horny woman in your area who just cannot get fucked? And she's spending
I'm sure there's
thousands of
multiple.
dollars advertising on every porn site.
She's that one.
She's that one
behind
horny
that
woman.
app.
She's that one morning woman 11 miles from me, just like waiting, ready. But
she's got to pick some better pictures for what she's putting up
and
there.
she's like,
I know when they throw those up. When they throw those up, I'm like, come on.
I think the strategy is to be like,
they're real.
They're
real.
It's a real person.
Yeah.
If it was fake,
but I'm not there for the
picture.
reality. I'm there for a little bit of fantasy. That's why I'm looking at porn.
Her accountant's like judging her because she doesn't have a good ROI, like a return on. Like, hey,
it's always like a photo too that I'm like, she doesn't have a new iPhone. Like, what is the quality? Like, it's like
they're like, she's old. Trust us.
Trust us. She's old.
Her thumbs over the camera.
it's a flip phone from Walmart. Just go with
man.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Don't you ever wonder though? Don't you ever want to see?
What?
Don't you ever wonder like,
what if I click
is
on
that person there?
My computer will just immediately explode.
Yeah.
Is what I figure. Yeah.
I wonder. That could be a good Patreon episode where we're like,
We click on those ads.
Yeah.
Let's meet this woman.
Let's
and
jerk
say,
off with someone. Let's not jerk off alone. Let's jerk off with someone.
older woman in your area.
Yeah. And I've told
What
you
if- what if
before,
I
I
did
hate
that,
when
don't
they're
jerk
like,
off alone?
hey, you. Yeah, you. I hate that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you. Yeah, you. Like they can see me.
If you pursued the jerk off with someone and then it went to the podcast studio and I was there.
Oh, you're here too?
Oh, you
I
work for
got
them.
so
You
much.
your side.
I don't like it. Annoys me in those the ads where they're extra bouncy.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
you don't need to. We're already
know.
here. You don't need to do the extra
Yeah.
bouncy.
I also don't like when it's like so vulgar when it like just cuts to it. It's just like it's mid
Well,
everything.
you want finesse. You want to be finesse.
I want to ease into my experience, whatever it is, and I think sometimes it's very jarring.
Yeah, I've never seen a great porn commercial. I'd love more comedy ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to become a comedy porn director.
we've talked about it a lot. I mean,
But it's really hard. I had a promo video that I was like, it had like a fake penis, and I was like, oh, I'll put this on porn sites. That'll be funny. Not easy. Every porn site wanted my license. I had to make like another email, and it's just like I could not. And then the video had to get approved. There was an approval process where they show it to you first, you jerk off, and
that's the approval process.
It's you. You're
me.
approving all these
saw
videos.
Every porn video.
all those
is posted.
views underneath, those millions of views.
After this, he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
He's got to go through his backlog.
Those
here.
views got to be inflated.
Yeah.
Some of
I
these
don't
you're like,
think so.
you're like, that's crazy. Then
Yeah,
that's crazy. They,
we've talked about too the comments, people that are commenting. Who
But
are
have
these
you
men?
ever checked out? There's behind the scenes porn videos where you see behind the scenes.
yeah.
Actually kinda
Bloopers?
I've
entertaining.
seen bloopers,
There's
and I got to
bloopers.
tell you that nothing could turn me off faster than
Than
like
a blooper
Yeah.
porn?
just like
yeah,
Whoa, sorry.
Yeah.
Which end was that?
Yeah.
But that wasn't meant for you, though. That
Yeah.
that video wasn't meant for you.
Yeah. I like interviews with a lot of the interview. Now they're getting into podcasts.
Yeah.
Where then they have sex at the end of the interview. And that is interesting.
I know.
But I, as someone who works with studio, I always go like, the wires, you're going to unplug something. You're going to knock something.
Yeah.
I would love, that'd be a great sketch. It's the producer of a porn podcast. Just be like, okay. Okay. Oh, now it's wet.
Yeah.
All right, this has got to stop. I took a yoga class today here in Chicago, and it was a good yoga class. They give you a massage at the early, and then towards the end, it was a little too quick, but they touch you. I like to be touched. I like to be touched in my yoga classes. And they always say at the beginning, they're like, raise a hand if you want to not be touched, like flatten to the ground as hard as I can. Let them know I'm there to be touched.
You're like, I got no hands.
I got no hands.
I'm handless.
So it's called. I'll shout it out because again, it was a good class. Ritual hot yoga. Good class. 50 minutes.
Hot
ritual.
Oh, ritual.
Ritual. And it's super hot. Great studio. I go in to sign in for class. I need to download the app. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. We do not need an app. Thank you. I was looking at the wrong camera. Ritual. Stop making us download apps. And I feel it the most because, we travel.
Yeah.
So I'm not coming back. And it has nothing to do with you. Maybe I'll come back once in 3 years. Things in this world, obviously, why do they want you to download the app? Because then you have it there. It reminds you, you got to go. They can send you notifications. They get your information. I'm not going to do that. I'm traveling. You're just making me annoyed. You're making me annoyed. It makes me not want to come back. And the idea of apps has to go away. We need to have a cultural shift of like, you can't ask us to be adding things to our phone. It sucks. It's annoying. No one likes it. You need to create something where we can interface with something you've set up, not put it on us. I'm sick of it. Done. I have an app. I have 3 apps on my phone for different places to park in parts of Canada.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That can't be. It cannot be.
I have different apps for event spaces, for gigs,
Oh,
for shows.
tickets.
Oh,
If I'm at a ticket venue and there's no reception and you're downloading and you're trying to get into the fucking venue, I'm like, stop it. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then you have to go through the whole like unsubscribe stuff.
Unsubscribe. And sometimes I get too lazy and then it reaches a threshold. I go, I have to clean this up.
Yeah, you're like, oh, do you want to go see another show in Wichita? Here's a whole list. I'm like, I'm not going back to Wichita.
And because we're traveling, it's just like I get updates from a CrossFit gym in Adelaide, Australia, and I'm like, fuck, man. Yeah. We miss you. You miss me. Fuck off.
Adelaide.
I used to get calls from Gold's Gym in West Hollywood, and I was like, dude, I was like, the 4th call, I was like, bro, done. Like, don't stop calling me. Like, I fucking hate it. He said, no. I'm like, dude, I fucking hate it. I just don't call me. He's like, all right, I'll take your name off. I'm like, great. He called me back 2 days later. It was. We
miss you.
We miss you.
I at least give me a little more. If you miss me, what do you miss about me?
Yeah.
My jokes? Do you have this? Got to stop.
Dude, my wife is a Disney adult. She loves going to Disney World. Okay. I'm all right. I support her. I love going, I love seeing her happy.
How many times should you go in a year?
4 times?
Whoa.
Maybe 5, 4.
Whoa.
Okay. Quarterly?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I cannot stand when people stop in the middle of a pathway, especially if it's a group of family and you have stop stopping in the middle of traffic. Like you're walking, like at the airport, when someone stops in the middle of in the pathway, like go to the side.
Sure.
As a dad, oh my God, it gets me so.
You're saying because when you fly to Disney, you have to do a family trip.
At family trips, or even without families, where you just walk in at the airport and you walk in the airport and there's a group of people and they stop right in the middle of heavy traffic.
Oh, happy
it gets me so. I don't know why it gets me so angry. Or when people are queuing to go on the airplane and they start filling up into the hallway, I'm like, oh, like I don't know what. There's a rage in me. I'm like, dude, be more like, just scoot over.
Do you ever go? Excuse me.
I'll excuse me out of the way. Hey, at one time I was like, yo, move, make space. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, take control. I had to get the dad voice. The dad voice has to come out because I feel like I'm talking to kindergarten.
Once I think I was in a really bad mood, and I said, and this was on the street. I said, it's called a sidewalk, not a side sit on your phone. And I was,
that's a good one. Yeah.
Sidewalk, not called side stand. Let's go on to our final segment. You better count your blessing.
You better count your blessing.
You better count your blessing.
Where'd that come from?
Douglas Goodhart. Our friend Douglas Goodhart.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Really good.
Which, by the way, we're doing a show in Burlington.
Yes.
May 1st, Burlington, Vermont.
And
Douglas will be there. Chris Cafaro, our friend, will be there.
Yep.
And what?
And we have a show, Uncle Function show the night before.
In New York at the Bell House.
In New York at the Bell House.
Okay, well, plugs are coming later.
Yeah, right.
Burlington. There's going to be a lot of flannel in that crowd. A lot of fucking...
Yeah.
Burlington is one place you can't get an almond milk latte.
Yeah.
They go, almond milk, that uses a lot of water. And I'm like, wow, that's a new level.
Yeah.
Wow.
I felt like almond milk was like the trope.
Yeah.
By the way, all those tropes, all those food tropes that conservatives talk about, like, oh, you millennials with your avocado toast. I haven't been to a fucking restaurant in America that doesn't have avocado toast. You fucking love it. You fucking love it. Dunkin' Donuts is no longer charging extra for non-plant-based milk. You fucking love it. You mock it. I'm looking at the wrong camera again. You mock the food, and then you all adopt it, and at no point do you go back and go publicly, hey,
actually,
right,
I really like
right,
avocado toast. JD Vance comes on. Actually, I really like avocado toast and sushi and like
yeah. I'd probably JD Vance fucking sushi, avocado toast, almond milk. He's doing it all.
Yeah,
he's doing it all. Piece of shit.
I did a joke one time in Burlington, and I made a white woman cry, and it was one of the most satisfactory. What the fuck was that word?
Yeah,
it brought me so much satisfaction.
What was the joke?
It was a joke where I said, I'm a Native man. I grew up around strong Indigenous women, and there were a lot of teaching when I grew up. And there was one teaching that my aunties always taught me, is like, be careful in this world. Society is against us. And when you go out into that world, when you go out there, you're going to encounter a lot of challenges. And one of the biggest challenges, you're going to be hunted. You're going to be like, people are going to stalk you. Out there, there's this people called, it's a clan called the Cougar Clan, and they love brown men. And they just go after you, and they'll clinch on you, take you, protect your heart, because they're out there. And I look at the crowd, I'm like, there's about 5 of them here, white cougars in here. I know you're looking at me. I know. You see me? I'm not for sale. You can't take me.
And that made her cry.
And this woman came up to me after, and she was already choking up, and she's an older woman, and she was just like, I just wanted to say that what you said hurt me, because I'm a white woman, and don't I deserve to love brown men too?
Oh my God, she loves them so much.
She loves them so much.
She loves them so much.
She's like, don't I deserve to be loved by brown men? Like I didn't grow up with much, and I find so much satisfaction. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Sure.
And she was, so I just wanted to say that you hurt my feelings. And I said, I'm like, thank you for your words. I appreciate that. I was like, can I actually, and there's one of the few times where I felt like I was like a bit of an asshole. And I was like, can I save some of your tears? Because those are sacred to my people.
That is so crazy.
And she was like, and she turned around and walked away. And my buddy was with me. He was like, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
She literally came up and said that.
Okay. We are close to the end. We have like 5 more minutes. Okay. Tell me really quick, though,
Burlington.
That joke, is that a trope? Is it a joke that is said about white women with like...
No, it's an observation out there.
What do you see? What's the observation?
It's an observation that white women...
Because obviously it triggered her because she...
Clearly that woman is lusting after.
lusting after brown ethnic men. No, it's the trope of like you have these like new ager type of women who like ethnic shamans, like these guys, long hair, and they're playing the Dances with Wolves kind of look, and they love it, and they just and there's also Native men who take advantage of it. They got their wives, they got their little harems going. Yeah. So that's what the joke.
Do you have any friends that you rib them? You're like, oh my god.
Yeah. You call them, they're chiefing it up. Hey, fucking guys, fucking chiefing it up here, man. You know, I got buddies out there like they talk normal like this, but when they get a white audience, I want to talk about the ancestors and nature and the four winds. And I'm like, come on.
They're code switching for white people.
For white people.
Like,
funny.
You know, people that everyone kind of does the code switching to get ahead, you know? And
what is that? Is that voice? That voice, is it created by Hollywood or does it come from a place?
I've wondered that myself because it's so prevalent that we kind of, we do it ourselves.
Shut the fuck.
You do it really well.
But I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh yes, that majestic voice like that. I've done voiceovers where they want that voice.
Of course, of course.
And they don't know how to explain it. Can you
no.
Try to explain that voice.
And then they bring a new age white woman in there. Yeah, and suddenly boom, you're in.
Like, they want to talk like this in the most traditional way. Like fucking, but no, it's such a weird dynamic. I think a lot of cult communities do it. You code switch to the dominant society because that's what they want to get ahead sometimes. I don't know. That's why I feel like our folks do. But it was created somewhere.
Yeah.
And I like to believe it was created by what, like, you know, fucking Clint Eastwood fucking movie back in the day or some shit.
Sure. Just one actor making a choice. Yeah. And everyone's like, whoa, I guess that's how they all talk.
That's the Indian voice.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
But I hope she comes out to your show.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Do you have a blessing?
Yes. My blessing, I just came back from New Orleans, Mardi Gras. And I want to give a special shout out to my friend Emily Dolis out there. She lives there, and she took such good care of us in terms of like groceries, bringing us things, making us feel comfortable. She gave she was on one of the floats, and she got to give us a special care package from the float. And I love New Orleans. I love going there for Mardi Gras. We had such a special time, and I want to just thank our friend Emily Dolis for making it so special.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you have
why you went like to a whisper at the end there? Was that a sign of endearment?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
My blessing.
It's a fleshlight.
It's a fleshlight. Excuse me. It's a fleshlight. What? It's a fleshlight. Screw the top off. You'll see. Beige color. Blessing. My wife. God damn it. I got to give so much love to her. She keeps me so freaking grounded. And I would be nowhere near in my career if it wasn't for my wife. I'd be doing weird fucking shows to like a crowd of 3 people and my cousins, and that's it. I really appreciate her. And the other blessing is memes. Like, like just shit memes. People just like processing the craziness of the world.
Yeah. Sure.
And just putting out absurd memes. Like,
is there a format you like, or is there one you remember recently that you're like, oh, that was a good one?
There was one of like it was one of those memes where it's like me right now. It was like a fucking frog smoking a cigarette on a log, and it's like mood. That's my fucking mood. I'm a fucking obese frog just fucking smoking a cigarette, watching the world burn. Like that actually gives me fuel.
Yeah,
I'm sure when I have kids, I'll relate. That feels like a dad. That feels like a dad. A dad. Like, I saw the funniest thing today. It's this frog smoking a cigarette. And it's like me. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I feel so weird.
Memes. The only thing that I think like meme like as an art form, if we were to call it that, is that like I see
it's call it that.
I see like the edgelord. The problem with memes is the jokes are so tight and they can be so variable that you see like the edgelords. They make memes that are like. I've seen some memes. I'm not seeking them out. I've seen memes related to George Floyd that are so egregiously awful and like horrible that I go like, oh, it makes people comfortable with like a level of like nihilism and disrespect that is, you know, as a comedian, I never want to be like, hey, but I go, this cannot be good.
Yeah.
This is like if you watch, I'm not anti-porn, but if you're watching 8 hours of the most extreme porn, 5 hours a day, like
5 hours,
like
that's too much.
There's a limit.
It's the wrong group of people to talk to, I guess, this thought. But it's like some memes I go like, oh, you've lost the idea that anything should be held in respect at all.
Yeah. I see
And
that.
that's Elon Musk is poison memes.
Exactly.
For me to a degree.
Yeah.
But I hear that.
I don't get those memes.
Frog smoking a
fucking
Obese
cigarette
frog.
nothing wrong with that.
on a log.
Yeah.
World's burning
You know,
behind
that's
him.
not me actually.
Hey, that's
quite.
that's not me actually.
Yeah, the memes are this is you. Okay, mine's a little longer. I've had such a really good tour run this weekend because I went to Detroit and I did like a quote unquote secret show that it's small, it's newer material, and I got to meet other comics in a way I don't get to when I'm alone headlining on the road. Then I got to do a comedy festival in Ann Arbor, and I got to just like meet some. I think I've been on the road so much I haven't been able to connect with like the comedy community in a way, and sometimes I deal with people where we're all just like pursuing, we're trying to like get followers and tour, but sometimes I'll meet someone who doesn't live in New York or LA and they have a career and they have a family and I never heard of them, but then I see their work and I go, fuck, you're good, you're great, and I get to see it, and I just felt really connected to the community of comedians. I feel like has been felt fractured. I think politics has made some parts of it feel fractured and just a lot of hungry, ambitious people. And I just felt connected. And we last night we did the show in the basement. It was a free show for the people in my mailing and text list. I know I just was railed against those things, but join mine. And but
he misses you.
But it was like a free show. It was small. It was intimate. I got to explore and be brave. And we met some comic. And one comic I wanted to shout out was I think Dan Docimo or Dan Docimo. We saw him, and he had this joke, and I checked in with him where he was talking about. They say, what was it, that when Christians say,
he's like, some people believe that when you're cremated, you actually don't go to heaven. He said, but the crazy thing is that you're dead for a while. Before you're cremated. So in theory, you're in heaven, and then someone has to come and tell you,
get out of the pool.
Sorry, you got to get out of the pool.
And it was just like
your family cremated you.
And I was thinking about that joke just because it's a great joke. It's so fucked up. The comedians always go, it's funny because it's true, or it's funny because it's true. And it's always about like something racist. That's how they use it. And I go, no, that's funny because it's true. Because literally, if you believe that tenet, this thing, it's funny because it's true.
They're dead for a good amount of time.
And if that is the belief system, that's what it implies. And it's funny because it's true. And I go, that's sometimes the spirit of comedy that's gotten lost in the pursuit of being edgy or whatever. It's like, no, that's funny.
Yeah.
So Dan Docimo, a great joke, and a lot of great jokes, and other comics too that I saw whose names I've already forgotten and will never see again. You're great. There's a joke. God, I wish there was some kind of laugh. As I said that I was never speaking. I hated how good that was.
Yeah.
Did not like that. Did not like seeing how good your fake laugh was.
Oh.
So
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, that's. Oh, and then Tova. I have to say Tova. I can't say Tova every time.
Wait,
but Tova. What?
You have three. Are you doing how many?
I'm doing I'm a blessed man.
All right, you're a blessed man. Okay,
I'm more thankful
Tova.
than YouTube.
I cut you off. Sorry, Tova. Sorry,
Tova. Surprised me at this festival
goals.
in Ann Arbor in the green room. I just got 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I went to the green room. She had gotten a 1000000 and 1 million spelled out balloons in gold. And knowing me, she got me a fruit bouquet, exactly what I wanted. Because you were right, the comedy festival did not have a fruit platter, as is requested in my rider. So it was. What a sweetheart.
Yeah.
In Ann Arbor, I don't know where they got those balloons from, but she found them.
It's a college town. It's a college town. They got them.
Yeah.
And then the guy wrote her because I guess one of the festival organizers, he undid the balloons. One flew away. He didn't notice. So they texted Toby, said they forgot a 0.
Yeah.
So she was like, fuck, now it's going to be 100,000.
Yeah.
She's looking up which app did I just get 100,000 on. Maybe we can celebrate that instead.
Yeah.
But
on your Blue Sky account.
Great gift. And now, you ever feel like in a relationship when you get a really good gift and part of you has to fight the thought, fuck.
You got to get a good one.
Yeah.
I
The
gotta
bar.
get a good gift.
Yeah.
You set the bar. She set the bar.
I'll get you a balloon, honey. I know that's what you want.
The one balloon that got away.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's the problem with getting married is that once you propose, it's like no gift, no, nothing tops that. But you get that one trump card, the one proposal. So that's why I think you got to hold on to it.
You got for as long as you can.
Where can people find you?
Across all social media, Dallas Goldtooth. I'm on everything now. I hate being on everything. Threads, Blue Sky. I can't.
It shows. Tell them about the shows you do too. Where can they watch your acting?
I'm gonna be on. I was on Fallout. I'm gonna be as an Apple Plus show. I did 6 months in Montreal for it. That's coming out called Last Frontier in October, I believe. Last I heard, it's gonna be on Apple Plus. So check it out, Apple Plus.
Check it out. What do you want to plug?
At Russell J Daniels on Instagram. Come see Uncle Function at the Bell House Wednesday, April 30th, and then check us Downside in Burlington, Vermont, May 1st. And I'll be doing a show in New York that I'll announce soon. A play.
Ooh,
great!
Yeah,
it's very exciting. Debbie Downsiders, check it out. And Burlington, Vermont, it's going to be fantastic. And I'll just plug the Patreon. We're putting a lot of this live show footage on the Patreon. It's going to be great. We're, a lot of cool things happen for the Downside, but join that. Help us, because getting a studio out of town is expensive.
Yeah. Well, exciting announcements hopefully soon.
Yeah,
maybe.
hopefully.
Maybe.
We have some meetings. We can't be like, we got some announcements. We got some
They're announcing
meetings.
the meetings.
We got some meetings.
Russ was like, we're going to make a movie soon. I'm like, no, we're going to have a meeting about movie ideas at a coffee shop.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to sneak a fleshlight into your bag one of these days.
No,
Yes,
don't
friend.
do it.
And I'm
I'll
going to
just
fill
have
it
to
with
use
water.
it.
I'm going to fill it with water.
Fill it with water.
Don't make me use it.
No, don't do that,
No,
Frank.
don't do it. And I give you a very specific brand. Don't.
Put a watch in it that has a ticking noise too on top of it.
Oh my God.
Add to
That's.
You imagine your fucking fleshlight starts ticking? Beep, 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 beep. And then you come.
Time to fuck
Yeah,
it.
it's a timer. It's a challenge. It's a personal challenge.
Oh my God.
I got beat 45 seconds.
This is the Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.